Hello, this is Midnight Paranormal Files back again. Or Kyle for the Midnight Paranormal Files, I mean. Anyway, today we are talking about Southwestern Wisconsin haunted locations. There's not as many haunted locations in the past in this part of the state, but it's still getting its own episode. Just to highlight some of these locations, we talked about vampires that's down here before in the past, but let's focus on some of the other places. Um, the first place is St. Charles Cemetery. There's not much information on this cemetery besides oddballs at night have been seen and reported. Otherwise, nothing really strange have been seen at this location. The next location we'll be talking about is a fast food place, aka a Subway ghost. Now, there's a Subway that's haunted. Yeah, I know, kind of strange, but we talked about stranger things than that in the past, like phantom chickens. Probably from when Colonel Sanders was alive and killed chickens for making your family bucket of KFC. But anyways, the ghosts at Subway will have items fly off shelves or fall on its own. Beepers for the doors go off by themselves, and employees hearing their names being called when nobody is there. Also, apparitions have been seen by the people who work there and described as a skinny 50-year-old woman wearing a dress, standing by the cash register, giving them a dirty looks, and disappears when you get closer to her. They say if you go to the basement after 9 p.m., things will fly off of the shelves. Former owners' parents were killed in a car accident in the early 1980s, and it's believed that the former owner's mother is the one who haunts the subway. The next location we will be talking about is an old haunted inn named Whiskers Old Time Inn. Now, the previous owner named Kenny used to only watch the news and drink 8 cups of coffee a day. 8 cups of coffee a day, but not verified. He died outside of the building from a heart attack back in 1999. Fall time and around 60 years old. His ghost now wanders the place. The lights will turn back on when the new owner will turn them off at night. Unexplained footsteps from the stairs have been heard going from and to the basement. It seems like usually 8 cups coffee cups go missing, or at least that's what some people reported. Same goes with dishes and TVs. Gets turned on onto the news when nobody is there. Besides employees and they have it on a different channel, stereo will turn on by itself. Arden was another former owner died after he collapsed, and he used to live upstairs, which was also used as a morgue at one point in time, way back way back in the day. Another location is a location that's a pub slash bar, and it's called the Baga Brew Pub, or something like that. Just like Whiskers Old Time Inn, this place is haunted by the former owner, also, and doesn't want to leave. This pub used to be known as the Union Saloon. Paul Mullen owned the property when it was a pool hall, ran until 1901. He passed right around the same time this place got a bunch of owners since, and the ghosts stay the same place. Maybe it's Paul who haunts it, maybe. Anyway, many of the staff have reported having strange feelings going into the basement, hearing ghostly voices while at the bar, hearing footsteps going down the basement, but it sounds like high heels. Apparitions have been seen, which is a man. Another bar we are going to be talking about is the Dell's Bar. Now, the Dell's Bar has been operating since the 1930s, and people believe that it's haunted, like seeing the apparition of a man. Most of the reports come from the basement and bar area, like strange noises, voice calling their names, voice in general, ghost corner of people's eyes have been seen, and also this place might not have the longest story of history or whatever, but still interesting, and there's no reports of anyone dying here either. The next location is a location that is probably one of the oldest locations in Wisconsin, and that's called the Walker House. The Walker House was constructed by Irishman William Walker in 1836, November 1st. Anyway, November 1st, 1842, there was a hanging for the public. Over 5,000 people showed up. Fast forward to 1900, Walker passed away. Charles Curtis purchased the property and did some work. He passed away in 1930. Another person bought it in the 1950s and rented rooms, which became an inn. And it did become a ran down. It did become ran down around the 1960s or whatever after this owner left 5 years later. And it was abandoned until 1964. And Mr. Landon restored the building 10 years after 64. It reopened as an inn still, and he sold it to the current owner. Remember how I said there was a hanging? Well, the person that was hanged was named William Caffey, or Caffey, weird last name. Anyway, he they say that he's the one that haunts this place now. The ghost stories are a little more recent, starting with Mr. Landon. He heard heavy breathing and footsteps, strange noises, uh, strange voices, I mean, apparition of a headless man who was spotted in the dining room. In 1981, one person spoke to the ghost multiple occasions. A bread box was moved by its own. So what could be causing the hauntings? I don't really know what be causing the hauntings here. Probably the guy that got hanged there way back in the day. But anyway, let's talk about the next location where something tragic happened, and it's nicknamed the Ghost Dancer. This takes place in Osseo, Wisconsin, where a night back in May 21st, 1984, around midnight, a Native American man aged 19, his name was John Funder, where he failed to stop at the highway stop sign, Highway 53 to be exact, and his car flew into a small irrigation pond and he basically drowned to death. People began seeing ghostly image of the man dressed in Native American clothing dancing and performing nearby the pond. And people believe that this is John Funder out of his grave. People also reported a vehicle coming up fast behind their vehicle and tried to run them off the road. When all of a sudden they disappear into the air, who knows who haunts this location really? And that's basically all the locations in southwestern Wisconsin. I know I kind of rushed through these places a little bit, but we could talk about them now that we're done talking about them, if you get what I mean. Um, so the St. Charles Cemetery is just another cemetery that's rumored to be haunted. Who knows if it really is haunted or not? Um, that's what I think anyway. The Subway Ghost is pretty interesting, if you ask me, because it takes place at a Subway fast food place. And there's not that many fast food haunted locations that I know of on top of my head. But anyway, this this Subway is still there too and stuff. Like when I was doing research or whatever, it was like 20 years ago I was reading off of it, this stuff. So anyway, Whiskers Old Time Inn. I know that this place is like a pretty old bar and stuff too, so maybe it could be something else besides the previous owner that haunts it or whatever. who knows? Let's go to the our brew pub, the one that I cannot say its name. I don't know much about this place really because I haven't been to any of these places. So I don't know what to say about this one. And then the Del's Bar, I haven't not much to say also besides that it's a bar. I don't know. um, then we will talk about the Walker House. Now I do know that this is another famous place like Whisker's Old Time Inn because of how old the building is and stuff like that. The only other place I know of that is this old around the state is the Point Bass or Wakely House. And that's kind of nearby where I live, kind of, which we'll be talking about that on the podcast one of these weekend or one of these days or whatever. Um, anyway, the Ghost Dancer in Osseo, I honestly always want to go to this place to see if it's actually haunted or not because I always found the story fascinating and stuff like that. But anyway, yeah, those are all the haunted locations I have for everybody today. I hope you like this episode of the podcast. Make sure to give us a review and let your friends know about the podcast and stuff. I will see you next time for another episode of the podcast.